Yeah, and we can get ready. Okay, all right, just really quickly. Good evening, faculty. We are going to be presenting our Seminar 1 project to you. We took a class trip, as you know, to Munich, Germany. And we're going to start with a quick cartoon infomercial about the subject, outlining the subject in our project. And then we'll go ahead and present more in depth.
I'm really excited to see the city. Let's start with a walking tour. Good choice. There are countless tours offered in Munich. We have walking tours, bike tours, hop-on, hop-off bus tours. Good to know. So let's go. Oh, I know I'm really interested in the English Garden. Can we go there? Of course. Let me introduce you to my cosmopolitan and charming city. Munich has so much to offer. I feel like I've learned so much about Munich. I really like the energy of the city. I think I love Munich a little bit. I can't wait to see what's next. Great, that means I'm doing my job. Follow me. We are now heading to Olympia Park. This is a really interesting site that has so many wonderful activities. I'm fascinated. What is this place? Why is it called Olympia Park? Well, for young people like you and me, we have to go all the way back to 1972. Munich was chosen as the host of the Olympic Games. The city built this park to have a place for all the competitions. Amazing! Yeah, given the effort, after the Olympics finished, the government decided to repurpose the space for Munich citizens. Now, the October Summer Festival is happening. So tell me more about this festival. Well, this year marks the 30th anniversary. Every year, the festival comes together and runs for 25 days of food, music, and handicrafts from hundreds of local vendors. International musicians play all kinds of music on multiple stages around the park. They play for hours, well into the night. This is so interesting to me. I really enjoy this kind of cultural and arts activity. What other festivals are happening in Munich? Funny you should ask. There are tons. I'll take you to the Faust Festival, and we can experience some modern art with a twist. Cool. I know a little bit about Faust. Is this festival about a play? Yes and no. This festival celebrates a really diverse collection of ideas and art forms and features artists from all over. It's got a really international point of view on the German classic. There's a lot of art you'll like, even if you don't know anything about Faust. The festival says a lot about Munich. So many people have come together from the community to make it. I I love that. I can't believe there are so many arts even here. It seems like there is something for everyone. Let's take selfie here. Wow, that was really fun. I wish we had more time to explore. They are even all over the city. Appointment with me. You look great. I'm glad you took a chance with the traditional German dress, a dirndl. Hi, it's good to see you again too. Thank you so much for recommending the dress top. I learned so much about dirndl. Did you know about the secret language? You mean how they have the roads? Yes. Let's look. Those tied on the left, it looks like you are single and ready to mingle. Let's go then. Oktoberfest is waiting for us. You know it. I also asked the shopkeeper to tie it, so it says that I want a rich boyfriend only. I'm so excited to be going to Oktoberfest. Hey, what's the music? The Oompa? Traditional German festival music. There are lots of new versions now. We'll probably hear some tonight too. I've heard so much about Oktoberfest, but don't know a lot. What can you tell me about the history? The first Oktoberfest was held in honor of a royal wedding way back in October 1810. The celebration lasted for 5 days. Afterwards, the anniversary was celebrated and the folk festival was born. Awesome! That's what I call a party! Exactly! Because the festival was so popular, the following year, they added horse races and carousel and rides and new beer stands, as some very enterprising brewery owners figured out that all the people standing around probably should have something to drink. Things kind of snowballed from there, and beer became the star of the festival. Munich history is fascinating. Yum! This is so delicious. I totally get why people love beer, but how did the people of Munich master it? The history of beer begins some 6,000 years ago. Beer was a part of a normal diet. It was so important back then because it was before refrigeration. The brewing process killed a lot of germs. At Oktoberfest every year, 6 million liters of beer will be held annually. Wow! Sounds like beer was and still a big part of the diet in Munich. But what about the alcohol? Everyone can't be totally drunk, can they? You're right about the beer being a staple of the diet, but not so much about the drunk part. Original beer served at the festival only contained about 4.5% alcohol. Not enough to get you drunk, darling. Thank goodness. Hey, why do people eat pretzel with beer? Well, aside from the great flavor combination, pretzels have been around since the medieval period. Did you know that children in Germany during the 16th century hung pretzels around their neck during celebrations like New Year's Eve for good luck? I didn't know that. It must have been a cute sight to see. Too bad they didn't have selfie back then. You know, I think just about everyone back home knows that pretzel comes from Germany. Why do you think pretzels are so popular? Well, pretzels have a strong history. There are records of pretzels and recipes found in prayer books dating back to the 12th century. It's really interesting to think that I'm eating the same pretzel people ate centuries ago. It is an intriguing thought. Thanks for another great day. I'll be going home soon, but you have taught me so much about Germany. I'm so glad I got to show you my home. I hope you come back again soon. I hope to come back as soon as well. Bye. Bye.
Got you interested and excited about the different topics that we're going to present to you today. We're going to try and follow the general structure of the video that you've seen. So Bella's going to start us off with a presentation about Munich Reader.
Hi, good evening and my committee and friends. So today I'm going to talk about what is Munich Greater. So let me talk about the simple fact of Munich. Munich is ranked in the top 3, the biggest city in Germany, under like Berlin and Hamburg. With more than 1 million residents, is known for traditional Bavarian culture. Munich is a city with richness in art and culture, also plenty of historical sites and high-class museums. And here are some of the photos of Munich. Like this is the landmark of New Town Hall, like in the center of Munich, and you can see the behind, like the twin tower with the top green dome is like the largest church in Munich. And also Munich held the annual festival like Oktoberfest, and also the well-known as original pretzel and beer, and many more dishes like pork knuckles and marine sausage. Munich attracts millions of people each year, ranked in the 30 most visited city according to the Global Destination City Index by Mastercard. Tourism has always been playing an important role in economic growth. It is suggested that historical and cultural factors are one of them, as it exercises tremendous influence. We have been to Munich, so we all perceive that Munich is beautiful in architecture, fine culture, and the annual Oktoberfest beer celebration. Munich is also a major international center of business, engineering, research, and medicine. As we visit the MACM Museum, many headquarters of several multinational companies is located in Munich, and world-class technology and science museums like the Deutsche Museum and the BMW Museum. It could be said that it is Germany's most prosperous city. Behind the successful story of Munich, we cannot only say that private sector is the only one who involved in this phenomenon, but we have to mention about the local also. With that part of the city, they unknowingly created a huge impact that makes the people around the world come visit and share their experience with them. Like Munich Greater will be like the great example for today's study. So I come up with 2 statements of problems. So the first one is how does Munich Greater play an important role in tourism development, and also the second one is what does an organizing model of Munich Greater look like, and what are the factors. According to my colleague, the scholar in 2013, there are different actors involved in the tourism development, including private sector, government or donor agencies, civil society, and local people themselves. Here is some diagram that show you the stakeholder in the tourism. Stakeholders refer to individual or groups who depend on the organization to fulfill their goals, and on whom in turn the organization depends. According to Michael 2013, local communities are regarded as an important asset in tourism development, as it is within their premise that these activities take place. Local people are very important, and in tourism development, local people with their distinct value and culture can add value to any tourist destination. Tourists may also benefit from local people in many different ways. To achieve long-lasting outcome, communities need to be active participants, not just like passive observers. So if I ask you if you would like to plan a trip to any place in the world, what would it be? The first one maybe can choose the tour guide or join the agency tour, or you can go that day by yourself, but knowing what to do or what to see. But we offer you the greater, the local people will guide you and lead you and recommend you the city. Here's the Munich Greater. So let me talk about the history of Munich Greater. Greater are volunteer who are willing to share their story and beautiful places. The original idea comes from New York City, which like everyone knows that New York City is the diversity of the nations, regions, and cultures. After a huge success of 100,000 visitors and approximately 30 volunteers, so it spread like hope. It spread to many places in the world. We are providing a welcome free service which offered by local open to people all around the world. Aiming to enrich 2 points. 1 point, the first one is an exceptional experience for visitors, and the second one is give them opportunity to show their pride of the city through volunteering. We will welcome visitors as a friend, not a tourist guide, and like you can get the different sense of feeling and views toward the city, places, and people. The core value of the greeter have like six points. So the first one is greeter are volunteer are friendly safe for those visiting a city or destination. The second one is greeter welcome individual and first small group of up to 6 people. And the third one is meeting greeter is totally free of charge, but we also accept like donation. And the fourth one is greeter program and are open to non-discriminatory. The fifth greeter program supports sustainability, and the sixth is greeter program create a mutually enriching opportunity for cultural exchange, create link between ordinary people in creating a better world. Munich Greeter provide guests from all parts of the world with friendly walking tour around the city based on their interests. Volunteer from Munich Greeter are considered as an intermediary between culture and visitors. Culture become more like touchable, accessible, and understandable to what visitor with. Like not only presenting by word from the local greeter, but also observing how greeter react to the local. So would you enjoy being welcomed to Munich by one of the greeter if you have a chance to revisit Munich? So this is like the form, like you can submit the form in the online website. So they will ask you like the normal information like your name, your email, and your interest, and you can choose like info, culture, history of food, and also number of your group. And you can choose like which language do you prefer your greeter to speak. Munich greeters shall then try to find the perfect match from among all volunteers. So I will show you like the short clip video that I made myself. For this new literature, they become more local, any shortcuts and confusion about Spain, street, names, or unknown rock are also. More local dishes and bar are not to be missed. Great spots to grab a bite or hang out in nightlife and should be the one who knows best. Munich Winter is not only another way for local and visitors come to meet and say goodbye, both as a way of life of each other while exchanging their ideas toward normal things around them. The way they walk, eat, play, and talk build a unique personality, and when this comes to bigger picture, it's called culture. Munich Winter are not all the ones who are born in Munich. They are multicultural and have different nationalities. All they are related is that they share the same value and culture, wanting to promote with pride to everyone who are open-minded and interested in this charming youth. The more Munich can make visitor experience memorable, the more they want to come back and share their stories when they get back to their home country. So it's like I make this diagram, like you can start with the Munich Winter when they exchange and have a good memory and then fly back, they'll absolutely will tell to their friends or their family that people may think and like interested in Munich and maybe visit Munich themselves, so it's kind of new cycle. So the steps of problem on my second question is what does an organizing model of Munich Winter look like and what are the factors? Munich Winter of actually under the German Winter, and we can find many Winter all over the place in Germany, like Berlin Winter, Hamburg Winter, Bonn Winter, also like Munich Winter. And German Winter is the member of the Global Winter Network. Like Global Winter Network Foundation has like more than 200 destinations worldwide and like 51 countries involved. The organizing model of Munich Winter and Global Winter Network, like they are things. They have three mainly focus, like volunteers, staff, and visitors. Firstly, visitors who are interested in the program show their interest by reaching the staff by filling the form online. And the second is the staff, like who confirm an appointment and match the visitor and visitor. And the last one is the visitor who come to meet visitors sharing their perspective and experience. And here is some like a mind map of Munich Winter. This is like the global Winter Network site that if you are interested in the Winter program and you plan to go somewhere, you can check on this online site. Munich Winter has proved themselves as a successful organization that connect people all over places, not only Munich itself, but they build a strong connection under the same foundation and share the same core values. As Munich Winter claim that many tourists come and remain as strangers, but we want to make them to friends. And if you go to the online site, you can see like the Winter is all around the world. But what I have found is like the opportunity for Thailand that we can start the Winter program in Thailand because we don't have one like right now. The Winter program also like if you are interested and want to start a Winter organization, the Global Winter Network does not only support visitors to new and interesting winter destinations. Our volunteers also like to help you if you are considering starting your own local winter organization. Global Winter Network can provide real hands-on support as well as provide a free website that can manage your booking. So I start with like the design a logo of the Bangkok Winter, and you can read in Thai like Bangkok Winter the global future network is growing day by day, so people can be assured that global future network would serve to assist you in adding your city like Bangkok to the future family. Thank you.
Can we ask you a question now or later?
Now.
Is there any age limit on the part of the prospective visitor?
No limit like for institute because I try to fill the form and you can put like the number of it.
So they ask you how old you are as well,
Yeah.
but then there's no limitation as to you have to be under, let's say 30, something like that. And so if they are based on donation, how do you think they would be able to sustain their operation?
I think they in the website they open like they accept the donation and also they accept the comment that can give by visitors that have experience with return to show their view like what the experience have had with return, and this can be like the advertising itself for the one who interested in the return program.
They're getting some from
Yes, can you show us their website so that we can see perhaps they might also have banners advertising or sponsors of the organization. You need to identify yourself.
Bell, can you open Google Chrome, please?
The main idea of the return program is come from New York, and New York is the New York City is the headquarters of global return network, and they belong they have cooperate with TripAdvisor and New York City government, and also I think return also cooperate with government sector.
Question for scholars in the cultural management field, what principles or theoretical perspective or lesson learned that we can from this research program?
Theoretical framework for cultural management.
Or principles or concepts of
framework for cultural management.
You describe the program. What can we learn from this program in the historical management?
I explain like in the view of local stakeholders, like they will be like the active participant in tourism development. So they will like not just be in like a resident in the city, but they active in the tourism industry and we help like try to make this city more interesting. And also like they can give like more experience, like good experience to the visitor. If you compare visitor to the local guide they work, they explain things about Munich because they work, not just like a passion to do for it. So I think it's better that reader do by their passion, not like just forward and like tell you as much as story as they want. And I have read like some comments that the visitor comment to the visitor, like many of like they visit Munich as a family, and visitor explain about the historical site in the Munich city, and the child talk to that, like the child tell her mom like the history of Munich is so interesting, like it's not boring at all. But if you compare like the local guy do their work and explain this city with like the very informative details, I don't think the child will feel the way that the return did.
Maybe they were in partnership with the government, but it's not really, I'm not sure.
Well, because at the beginning I expect you to explain more about, because you're talking about the local roles in the tourism industry, but you didn't say clearly that where the locals stand in the prospect to tourism. So I try to connect what is the local activity to do with the big structure. And then you get into the big business, you get more details on the business. So the question is, this activity, where is the activity stand in the big tourism?
I think it's almost like the very small point in the like.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, I think you have to come up with something like, is it part of the tourism development? Is part of tourism marketing or tourism? I don't know what it is.
It's a part of tourism development.
And when you work with volunteers, do they have any problems, like in terms of messages, and they standardize the message?
Actually, they have like a meeting every first Tuesday of the month. Like all the volunteers in the group have to meet and like exchange their experience with the visitor, also like the problem that they have to face, and we can discuss like in a meeting like every month.
Yeah, I have no question if you are starting retail or retail, but somehow I think we need to see the strategy of having the detail of the whole policy. So you know how it's planned for and how it's developed too. Okay. All right, thank you.
My name is Piera, as you guys know me already. So after the Munich trip, I just picked a topic and would like to talk about the walking tour in Munich. Before starting with the walking tour, I found that getting around Munich is very important and will help you enhance your knowledge about Munich. And in Munich, it has many means of touring around. Start from sightseeing, hop on a hop-off tour. Segway, which is like the upcoming trend for getting around, and also bike tour. This is kind of popular as well. and walking tour. So after seeing the city, so I just picked the walking tour. The reason why it's a walking tour because walking is you get to see the city better than other means of transportation. So getting to know about the walking tour in Munich. So it has to start with the first thing is the place. This is like the association that associate with the walking tour. So the first thing is you have to have a place that has a story or history or the main highlight that you need to focus on. It can become like a major attraction for tourists, and also it can be like a small shape like the archway like this. And the next association is the Munich tourism. So this is like a major association that involved with the walking tour as well. And the third partner is the guide association. So for the guide association in Munich, it has more than 200 languages available, and more than 500 tour guide, which is available in the area. And after you have a place, you have like a government involvement and also the guide association. You have to have a platform that can expose the walking tour, which is right now it has normally goes online, like the local freetour.com, getyourguide.com, and the last but not least is the customer who will take a walking tour. So the reason why it has to be a walking tour that I picked on, because the first thing is because the benefit of the intimacy of experience that you'll get around the city. You can see the landscape, you can get the history, the architecture and the people by walking tour. And also it's a guilt-free or eco-friendly way to explore the city. Third one is because the slow down of the pace. To discover the magic of the destination. This means that along the walking tour, if you want to step by the things that it doesn't cover along the way, you can stop by and see. And you also have time to explore and also to observe or absorb the environment and also the people nearby. And the last reason why it has to be a walking tour, because the walking tour is worry-free about where to park your bike, where you park the Segway, and also where to get on, hop off tour. So it's actually quite fun, and also enjoy. The enjoyment that you get is, I think, is more than other. So a walking tour in Munich, it has many sort of walking tour. So if you divide it into two major parts, it has like a free walking tour and also the paid walking tour. So I just want to start with a free walking tour first. In the website, it has the website like a local free tour Munich readers that Bill just talked about. It's also like a free walking tour. And another important and also interested is self-guided old town Munich walking tour, which is like the application like this. And you can download on your mobile phone, and when you walk at the place, and you can open the app, and they will explain to you what is the history and what is the significance of the place. Which actually I tried this one, and it's quite amusing. And also, if you don't want to read it, you can just put on the audio, and then they can read it for you. So it's like you can see the environment and also listen at the same time, just like you have a personal guide audio. And another type of walking tour is actually paid walking tour, just like getyourguide.com, groupwalk.com, visit the city, and also a friend in Munich. These are the websites that offer a charge walking tour. So consider the walking tour in Munich. It has more than 36 routes offered to the tourists. And when you have a look at it and although did a little bit of analysis, I found that the price range of the walking tour is actually start from 400 to 5,000 baht per person. And it has many languages to offer, and the 6 main languages that they offer, of course, English, Spanish, German, Italian, French, and also Russian. So I believe that this is like the major tourists that comes to Munich. That's why they offer this sort of language. So if you imagine that you're a tourist that who come to the Munich, when you go on the website, you will see information like this. Sometimes they offer you and also recommend you to the best value. In case of you are kind of like a price sensitive tourist, you can have a look and focus on the best value first. And the popular walking tour, and they can just have the price list and a short description for you. And I think this kind of like make it more catchy. They make it the yellow button like this, like likely to sell out. This is like to put in urgency for the tourists that would like to come to the Munich. So if you look deeper, suppose that you are interested in the old town of Munich, and this is what it looks like that you can consider about. I think what they did is very clear to the tourists by having like the activity, the duration, and also what covers, what does not cover. And what I really like about the walking tour in Munich in the website is they identify whether this is friendly for like wheelchair accessibility or not. And also sometimes some routes they offer more than English. Sometimes they offer like English, Spanish, and Italian. And some routes they can accommodate just only like German and Spanish. It depends. And also they tell you like what's the highlight of the route, and also the full description if you would like it. And also they try to give you like more alternatives by suggestion like the price from the other route and also the similar routes that you might be interested. And this is a function that I found in the website, and I think that walking tour in Thailand doesn't have, is you give this as a gift to a friend. Suppose that you have a friend who would like to come to Munich and you want to give it like as a complimentary or like the birthday gift, you can just give this to your friends by buying a walking tour to your friends. So for analysis of the walking tour, normally in Munich they have, as I mentioned, they have a lot of walking tour available. But then the most popular walking tour takes approximately 2 to 3 hours. They can have it more like 1.5 hours tour and also a 1-day tour like 8 hours. So 2 and 3 hours are the most popular walking tour in Munich. So let's have a look at the top 5 popular walking tours. Mainly, I think it's about the culture and experience that I want to give to the tourists when they visit Munich. So the first one that is like got 5 rating stars and also like likely to sell out, which is like the night city walking tour with the beer. So of course, the beer can give you like an experience and authenticity of the Munich. So this one is kind of popular, and you get an experience by walking like Isa River and sipping a beer, and yeah, about 2.5 hours long. So I think more of the tourists will enjoy this. And if you let's take a look at the price, it's not that pricey as well. So the second one is Discover Munich 2 hours walking tour. So the visitor can meet at Marienplatz and also take a look around and also enjoy the place. So this one is more likely like a history of the place in Munich. And the third one, likely to sell out as well, is kind of Munich City and combined with English Garden walking tour. And the fourth one is a private, like 2 hours walking tour with the art historian. As you guys know that art in Munich is kind of significant as well. So this one is more focused on the art history in Munich by looking at the building and also some of the tourist attraction, monuments, architecture, palace, and museum. And another popular one is a market tour, like all gourmet food tour. This tour offers you like a food in Munich as well. You can try like a sausage beer, pretzel, and other foods that are available in the market. They will take you to walk in the market and see how the market is like. But if you see like the walking tour that I mentioned on, 5 of them, it's actually more to offer. It's like sometimes the place is duplicate along the route, but I find a common point, which is most of the walking tour is actually combined with the history. They want to offer the tourists to understand the history and also like the story of the city, because Munich is capital city of Bavarian, right? And also they try to combine as like food and experience to get along with the walking tour. But one thing that I discovered that a walking tour doesn't include is some of the tourist attraction, which is like the BMW Museum, Allianz Arena, or Olympic Park that Joe will talk about. So this part, I think this one is kind of interesting too, but it's not included in the walking tour. And also, I have studied about how the Munich tourism create that strategy of the walking tour. So they said that Munich is well established as the most attractive European city of those seeking culture and enjoyment and a sense of life, uniquely offering the opportunity to actually take part of their life in the city. So they say clearly that they are focusing on the culture, enjoyment, and a sense of life, which actually the walking tours that are available to the tourists also answer the point of culture, enjoyment, and a sense of life that the tourist boards that are focusing on. So 5 points that they want to cover is the history of the place, of course. The walking tour is actually, have you enjoy the place and also the history of the place, and also you can try the food, and the local people or the greeters or the guide can be the one who pass on the experience and also a sense of friendliness of people of Munich to the guide. And also like the lifestyle, as the English garden can be the best description of the lifestyle of the Munich people. So if the tourists can visit the place, then they can learn more about the place as well. And the last point that I've learned after joining the walking tour is the belief that like this, like rubbing the lion's nose in the front of the resident palace, which is actually, this one is kind of surprised me a little bit, because I thought that, European doesn't believe in this kind of thing, but Munich has it as well. And after I talked with the guide tour and he said that this kind of belief kind of famous, and also, people in Munich take consideration as well, because it has a story since the past. So I think what the walking tour offers in Munich is actually answer to what the strategy of the tourism board would like to go as a Simply Munich. So thank you. If you guys have any questions, so yeah, please.
Walking tour is a tourism product. It's a tourism product. What are the factors influence the product design or the making of this product? Yeah, the factors influence. If you go to organize a walking tour or make it as a product, what are the criteria or factors that you have to take into consideration?
Okay, so it is in my opinion, I would divide it into like supply and demand side. So as I mentioned in here that the element of walking tour. So it's actually on the left is kind of supply side, and the right side is a demand side. So actually, first you have to think of your place, that what your place can offer and what is the highlight. And then after that, you have to have some put on a creativity on it. So, for example, like food tour that they take people to the market, or a beer tour. And also, it has to get involved with the tourism board or someone who can, take the control and make sure that this is going to be the right direction, or this is like under control. And for the on the demand side, if you have a product available already, but then you don't have a place to give the exposure or to sell it, so I think it's going to be a waste. So this one, they have like a platform. So mostly now they go online. So they have like many websites that you can have a look at. And then after you have to create a demand of the people or the tourists who like to go to the place, for example in Munich, and you have to make the walking tour outstanding. Why is it better than other means of transportation like Segway and stuff like that?
There are places that you mentioned that there's no walking tour, but it's also equally important and equally interesting. Why do you think they don't have walking tour in those places?
I think one of
there is some kind of what do you think?
Okay. So I was curious in that point too, like why those three places that I mentioned is kind of significant as well to Munich, but why don't they include it in the walking tour? So the factors that I was thinking is because the walking tour that's available right now is like mostly in the town where it connects to the point together, but then those three is kind of like out of the city. And sometimes if you conduct a walking tour and you go only see the Olympic Park for like 2 hours, and if they don't have like any event host in that area, then it's gonna be like you see only like the building. That's it. Just like when I took a walk, like when we went to Munich, if we take a walk and then we just know the building, it's not that interesting. And if you want to study about the history of the Olympic Park, then you can just Google it and you didn't know what it is. But then if you walk compared to like walking toward the city, then you can see the people, you can see how the tourists act or how the local act and how the atmosphere of the place. Then I think that would be more benefit to the tourists to understand the city better. Friends, do you have any questions?
You think it is possible as well, right, to have a walking tour in Olympia Park? There might be a thematic tour, right, for people who are interested in architecture.
I think so. But yeah, that was something lack of in Munich, like the architecture, like modern architecture. They have like the architecture tour that like the art history that I mentioned, but mostly it's still in the city of the town, but not like out. But if they try to think of the thematic tour and they go further, like to Olympia Park, I think it has to be like sometimes they have like to have a festival that like wood or some other like activities that go on, and then they can explain more about the place. And also, I didn't mention on the presentation is it has a seasonal like walking tour trip as well. But for example, right now they are trying to promote like the Christmas market tour already, and also recently they have like a Oktoberfest walking tour, which is taking people around and get the experience of the Oktoberfest. But this one, it has to be seasonal.
So then I want to make clear that you were talking about walking tour with a guide or without a guide.
I more mainly focus on the guide, but I just mentioned that it has other way like without a guide as well.
Right, but
yeah.
Here is with a guide.
With a guide, yeah.
So then this is like problem. Yeah, it's not a problem. It's my own interest that you were talking about the content of the product a lot. If I think I could find them on my own on the website. But the other part is I really want to know, and I think I was not able to find it, is how this walking tour has been managed and in the perspective of organization of the company. That's one thing. Yeah. And then you just mentioned more like big picture. You don't need to go into the example, like for example, I want to know what is the route the walking tour and how that would be designed. What is the function to make that happen and what things.
Yeah, actually, I haven't looked on it. For example, like in the marine platform, that they take you around for a couple places of the place. So they decide they're trying to make it harmony route. They don't want to go like, okay, you taste sausage here, taste the beer there. Like they're trying to keep it more harmony and like in a smooth way, like for history, and then they go just only in history, but along the way. For example, when I took a walking tour, so if the tour guide stop at the place, then they just explain you the place, and also sometimes just make it more fun by putting some information like the belief that I mentioned along the walking tour to make it more fun, and also for going to the next places, they just keep explaining something like that.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see why they choose these names in different places. How all those names are unique expressions. It's not just it's on the way, so we just go. Right? There must be some concept or something that they want to set up and making story along the line. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, faculty and all friends. After you enjoy the walking tour and music greeter from the previous two presentations from my friends, and they mentioned a lot about Olympia Park. So this is the time that I will take you to explore the Olympia Park, what this is about, and what is in the Olympia Park, and what is the festival that can attract you to the Olympia Park. After you enjoy the walking tour in the city center, you can just take the underground train, number U3 or U8 to the Olympia Park, and then just 20 minutes you will arrive at the Olympia Central station, and then you just walk up from the station, and then you will walk past by the BMW World and BMW Museum, which is one of innovative museum and innovative showroom to show the MACM Motorwork products. You can stop here for a bit to see what is innovation about automotive, and then you just walk across the street to the Olympia Park. And this is the site of Olympia Park. You can see that it's a very huge size, and it can very easy access by the underground. So my topic that I will show you today is about how to be proposing MACM Legacy to be a venue for cultural activities by using a case study of Summer Toll Festival at Olympia Park. So under this topic, you will have a chance to explore who is the main player to turn the Olympia Park to be a cultural venue, and what is the product that they add value to the properties. But it's not only a venue for sport event at all, but it creates more value to be a venue for the event, for the meeting, and for everything, every people in Munich. Before we start, I want to give some definition about MACM event. Many of sources mention about MACM event. Most of them say that MACM event attract worldwide interest and lead to several improvements in whole city, and MACM event yield extraordinary high level of tourism, media coverage, prestige of economic impact for the host and community or destination. MACM event also a one-time major event that is generally of an international scale, and MACM event by virtue of their size, attendance, public involvement, political effect, television coverage, construction of facility, and social and economical impact. So in the world nowadays, there are three main mega events that recognized as very large, the largest mega event in the world. Two of them are sport events, which is Olympic and FIFA World Cup, and another one is World Expo. For Olympic, it's organized every 4 years by International Olympic Committee, which is based in Lausanne, Switzerland. And for the FIFA World Cup, it's also organized every 4 years in between Olympic. The headquarters of FIFA is in Zurich, Switzerland. And for the World Expo, it's organized every 5 years. The headquarters is in Paris. And the last World Expo is in Milan, and the next is in Dubai. In the past history, the World Expo and mega events, they left many of legacy in the world. For example, the Paris Eiffel Tower that's come from Expo 1889. It also have atomium at Expo 1957 at Brussels, Space Needle at World Fair, and some of station at Lisbon, and also some like a China Pavilion at Shanghai, and the latest small World Expo at Astana, Kazakhstan. They also have a legacy of science museum here. And the next World Expo is in Dubai in 2020. They plan to make a legacy of innovation district to the city. In the sport event as well, they also left some of legacy to the city, but with some of management or good or bad management, they left different legacy. For Athens in 2004, they abandoned the site and really like a stadium with no one use it. But for the Beijing in 2008, developed the site to be a tourist destination, and the Bird Nest Stadium and Bubble Aquatic Center become popular among tourists who go to Beijing. For Munich itself, Munich used to be a host of Munich Olympic Games in 1972. The logo and key visual of Munich is like blue and white flag, which is the key visual, the key color of the flag of Bavaria. And the logo, they represent the structure of the stadium. This is the stadium, which is like a semi-amphitheater that construct on the hill. Some of you may have a memory about Munich 1972, about the incident of Munich massacre, that the Palestinian terrorists, they attacked to the Olympia village and they take Israel athlete to be a hostage, and they kill them and in the village. And this is come to the movie called Munich in 2005. And now if you visit the site, you can also see the memorial for the victims of massacre of Olympic Games. So let's back to the main site. In the main site, there are two major parts. One is Olympia Village and another one is Olympia Park. Now Olympia Village has turned to be like a small public park, and some parts have been divided to the BMW Museum at the top. But for the Olympia Park, it's kept at the original, and they developed to be a tourist destination. This is the picture for then and now. They developed the land from nothing to be like this. This is a picture that's taken from the Olympia Tower. And this is the picture of our site. So this is the fun fact about the Olympia Park. The area is almost 1 square kilometers, and the construction around four years before the Olympic Games in 1972. The project cost is around 1.35 billion Deutschmark, or around 690 million euro nowadays. And now the Olympia Park administered and managed by Olympia Park München, which is a holding company that owned by state capital of Munich. The objective that the government of Munich, they proposed this company or this kind of management because they want to make use the site to be a tourist destination and to find some return of investment from the site. And from only the stadium in 1972, they developed many of products, both of core product and augmented products to the site, such as zip lining or extreme sport, restaurant. They also have a performance and meeting venue. There's a bay garden and recreation park, walk of star, and outdoor space for performance and festival. And they also have sea light aquarium. So they develop many things in the site to attract a large group of tourists and a variety of tourists to come here. This is the original facility. You can see that there are only four main buildings. One is Olympia Tower, one is Aquatic Center for aquatic sport, and another one is Olympia Stadium, another one is Olympia Hall. And they have a landscape of Olympiaberg Hill, which is a hill that you can go to the top, and Olympia Sea Lake. But for nowadays, they create a lot of facility for Olympia Stadium. They create, it's still a stadium for sport event, but they create a roof climb activity and flying fox. In between the Olympia Stadium and Olympia Hall, they have a small garden, a small beer garden. And at Olympia Hall, they propose to be a multi-purpose hall, concert hall, to organize a show and performance and indoor activities. For the aquatic center, is turned to be a swimming pool for public. And they also have outdoor concert venue and restaurant at the top of Olympia Tower and the viewpoint at the top of the hill. And they have another large beer garden inside the park. So this is the picture of activities at Olympia Stadium. They also have tried to attract some group of tourists and group of many of people who are interested in extreme activity or even architecture tour. They create the program tour in the website that tourists can access and can book the tour. And the Olympia Hall, they equip light and sound system and the seats that can accommodate more than 12,000 seats. They organize a big concert and like a kind of meeting every year for an annual meeting of cement group. They also organize here. And they have bring many of facilities of big events like big loading, ticket office, and gate control like this. They also have outdoor amphitheater at the lakeside, and they have the area of recreation park. And this is our picture that we have been there. And this is a viewpoint from the hill. You can see the Alps from here, and which is a good landscape. Many of tourists and many of local people come here for recreation. And you can see the top of Munich, which is a restaurant and viewpoint at Olympia Tower. They also have created some gimmick to attract the family group, like Munich Sea Light Aquarium and Munich Walk of Stars. And the most famous activities of Munich is beer, so they also have beer garden. Munich Olympia Park, they attract many of events here in every year. But the last event in the year, and which is an annual event, is Tollwood Summer Festival. Tollwood Summer Festival is the second largest event in Munich after the Oktoberfest. So they organize here in the site. They occupy the whole site. You can see the pink line. This is I cropped at the first day, cropped from the Google Map at the first day of Tollwood Festival. You can see that they draw the pink line, which is the area of Tollwood Festival. And but the main area of the event is the southern ground of the main stadium. You can see the main stadium here. And it's run 25 days in July of every year. So you can see a lot of activity here in Munich Tollwood Festival. And this year marked as 30th anniversary of Tollwood that ran from 1988 to now 2028. Tollwood Festival organized by Tollwood Limited, which is a company for cultural and environmental activities. They operating both of profit and non-profit. And for the financial, they get a financial 40% from ticket sales of the entrance fee of Tollwood Festival. Another 40% is from rental income from the stand operators, and another 20% from sponsors. And every year they also get some support from the government. The highlight of Tollwood Festival is the Market of Idea, which is very crowded. There are many, more than 200 stalls selling handicraft and from Bavaria products. And they also concerned about ecology and environmental awareness, which is, you can see that this is the signage in the site, that every product that's sold in Tollwood is bio-certified, fair trade, and free of genetic engineering. They also have food and beverage, more than 50 dining zones. And the guests can enjoy the theater and performance program from local and international musicians until midnight. And they also have a fun fair for children that include in 30% of activity including entrance fee. And art and fancy parade in the site in the Tollwood Festival. And they also have a kind of art installation here. So in every year, Tollwood Festival attracts more than 900,000 visitors. That is why I said it's very large festival, and it's the second largest festival of Munich after the Oktoberfest. So talking about the stakeholder or who play the role to develop the festival, you can see that the Olympia Park, which is the company, they work together with Tollwood Limited. But for the Tollwood Limited, they also have to deal with many of suppliers such as performance program, construction supplier, audio-visual, tenant and stand operators, F&B, food and beverage provider, and fun fair service provider to attract Munich local people, domestic tourists, and international tourists. But this is only one of the value chain that make the Tollwood Festival happen, make the Olympic Park can run. But if you look in the bigger picture, you can see that the Olympia Park company also work together with many of stakeholders, like a tour agent to bring many kind of tourists, make with corporate like Siemens to bring corporate meeting. They deal with the organizer to bring sport event, concert, festival, and performance, and also work with the event organizer, and to bring some more of group of people, like a group tour, meeting delegates, the athletes, or event participants. So the benefit of repurposing the mega event legacy to be a venue for cultural activity, of course, this is return on investment, because they invest at one time and they change a little bit for development, but they can draw many of activity continuously. And secondly is economic impact to the whole city, because you can see from this diagram, it can bring many of tourism and many of people to spend their expense in the whole city. And it's also be a recreation park for the Munich people. It's benefit for education for child, and it's also promote a cultural exchange for Munich people. So that's all about my presentation about Munich, and then I will move to Nita, which is a sports festival. But welcome for questions.
So the festival running a certain period in the year.
Yes, 25 days in July.
That's
site.
Yes, in summer.
Forward to working on that.
Yes.
And what about the rest of the year?
The rest of the year, Munich Olympia Park, they bring different organizers to come to the site, but it's not long as this event. This is the biggest and longest event in Munich Olympia Park.
Okay. Thank you.
And then this is also my actual paper here as well. And so for you guys as well. You're welcome. So I wanted to talk in my presentation. Good evening, everyone. My name is Juanita Smith, and I'll be presenting to you about the South Festival and the new kind of tourism or tourist typology that I kind of learned through our research. I wanted to talk to you about basically the new kind of cultural tourist. So if you'll take a look at our opening picture, I want you to pay attention to who the people are in this picture as I go through. So when we're talking about tourism development, it's really important to know who we are marketing to, who is the tourist. And during my research, I found that the majority of where tourism is leading is going to be had by millennials, they're 18 to 34, women, people who are active social media users, they're technologically savvy, and they're highly visual. I came across a study of selfies. So it's become a big part of our everyday socialization, and it's also a big part of travel tourism. A lot of people really find meaning and purpose and pictures of themselves as the star of their tourism experience. And I thought about that, and I was looking at my pictures, and I thought, no, that's totally not true. I mean, we have a beautiful picture of our hotel, and then I started looking a little bit further into my pictures, and before I knew it, it was a picture of me. I realized that I am the selfie tourist. I am actually the person that is described as the most populous group who will be taking over tourism in the very near future. So we're at the very first place we went to, this beautiful church, and the first thing I took a picture of was me. So I noticed that in tourism, I should be paying attention to what I like. I am the target audience. Pew Research and Harvard Research actually shows that the group that I'm talking about is going to make up about 50% of tourism in the next few years. So I looked at what I did throughout my tourism, throughout our tourist experience, and I realized that I was falling into those same categories. We really do enjoy things that are highly interactive and experiential, right? We've got people touching things. We want to be engaged. And then I realized, let's take a look at some traditional tourism methods. I popped onto the city's sightseeing bus and took the tour, a more traditional form of tourism. It's kind of basic. You travel around the city, and it's much easier than if you take the bus, right? It's highly visual. The bus is much more exciting than if you get on the subway. But I realized it's a highly visual thing. It is interactive, but it's not too technologically savvy. We can see lots of things around Munich, but it doesn't allow the tourists to really engage with all of these interactions. I saw them, as you can see, through the window of the bus, right? I was rolled off from it. So I thought about what would be something more exciting, what's something more interesting. And then I realized, how about going on a guided tour myself? Let's walk around Munich. Let's see some things. I'll engage with my friends. We'll have fun. Look, we got to take pictures of ourselves. And I also realized, hey, it's been a have a selfie. Oh, thank goodness, I'm in another picture again. So this was an interesting part of our trip, but this was a more independent style of tourism. We didn't really have a guide. We walked around, and we ultimately ended up taking pictures of ourselves in front of all of these attractions. They didn't have anything to offer. They didn't have anything for us to do other than be silly and mess around and maybe drink. So when we think about tourism development and what will really attract the selfie tourist, we need something that is technologically savvy, something that engages people, something that's experiential, something that's interactive. Hey, the South Festival! We want to look at festivals and events as a cornerstone for what will help us in the future when we are looking to develop tourism. This festival was highly collaborative in its management style, and it worked with a lot of different venues and artists around Munich. So I actually noticed some of these things around the city when I was looking at the more traditional styles of tourism. So when we went to the Residenz, the Foonhof is actually across the road where this piece was when I was on the bus tour. We rode past the Love-Hate statue in front of L'Arc de Triomphe. And then I started noticing more of these Faust Festival flyers around town. And it really seemed as if the city came together to work on presenting this festival and the different offerings. And I thought, okay, there's lots of variety, which I like, but what's something that I can do that is really the culmination of all these things that I talked about? Something that's technologically savvy, something that will be highly visual, something that's interactive and experiential. And I came across this, and this was the festival event that I found as kind of hitting all the marks and checking off all the boxes. It was a 5-star event. So the Heg was, I think I got it, the Heg was a walking opera. So you go into a public space where you have a beautiful park right by the river, and Matthias Nietzsche has composed a beautiful opera. Opera is normally stodgy and boring. You sit in a theater and you listen for 2 hours. But this opera is downloaded onto your phone. So you have the app, and then you take a walk by the park, you turn your GPS on, and as you move throughout the park, different parts of the opera are downloaded to your phone, and they match your surroundings. So you get different music for each of your different areas. And I loved it. It was highly visual. I got to take a selfie. I got to use my technology, things that I was familiar with. And it also engaged and moved me around the city. So the collaboration here, not just in the production of this idea, but it moved me around the city, and I happened to see different areas. And I got to explore more. So the tourism of the city is enhanced by these kinds of collaborative approaches because it forces the tourists to go and spend money in different places. You go to different areas, and they get soft benefits. So I started noticing more that every place that I went, there usually was some place where there was some festival either happening or festival advertisement. And that all parts of the city were really involved. Even when we went to the Nymphenburg Palace, all of this beautiful history was supporting the festival because I found all of these flyers of events outside in the park. So by working together, it not only boosts tourism in different areas, but it supports the tourism that's come together and helps your tourists know and understand where to go. And of course, more pictures of myself and my travels. By moving around the city, it also allows for the tourists to have a really highly visual experience. You get to go to different places. More people are supported, as I said once again. And I find that the best experiences had this way. when all of these different entities collaborate together, not only are they controlling the image of Munich, but they're supporting each other and putting out a very focused message. And here the focused message is, we love Munich and we support the arts. The festival topic of Faust was really broad and expansive, so it allowed people to contribute all of the different art styles that they really enjoy. And of course, one of the places that I ended my tour with was the restaurant 181 with Selfie in the Sky, and there is a museum in this restaurant that had a lot of Faust pictures, but I thought this was the most exciting one because I'm it. Does anyone have any questions about collaborative management or about selfie tourists? We are all of them.
I can see that.
Yeah, sure. And then this is my art piece in the style of the festival. I took the brochures that we had from different programs and tours that were available, and I shaped them into pretzels and other little bits, and kind of reminiscence of a heart as well, because I really enjoy the experience. But I put them into little memory boxes or neat little cubes to kind of repeat the idea that it's a reflection and kind of how we see things is a little bit different. Does anyone have any questions? You are welcome to come look at my piece of art if you'd like. Thanks. No questions?
You can read it all every place that you come out and see.
Oh.
Then you map it like a Google map.
I like that idea, but this was very time-consuming. Any thoughts about collaborative management, tourism development, and social tourism? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had. So, the Faust Festival worked together. They actually were kind of spearheaded by the manager at the Kunsthal, and he hosted kind of a meeting for all of the cultural managers, and then expanded into retailers and vendors in the city to kind of support the original exhibition of Faust. Collaborative management is people working together to produce events for a festival and utilizing the common resources. So while the festival has a lot of separate events, they're unified under one head. And by working together and listening to input from other people in the community, it benefits everybody because the tourism is diverted around and everyone gets some of the indirect tourism benefits.
What was the focus? Is it the brand gaming, or is it the Faust, or is it the selfie, or is it all three?
So, I'm sorry, I kind of tied it, the narrative basically goes, by experiencing the Faust Festival, Van Hagen was one of the events that I really enjoyed, and because I really enjoyed it, as the selfie tour's prototype or embodiment, it matched all of the criteria. So I'm kind of the target audience of tourism of the future. So things that are appealing to me in the realm of technology and being highly visual and being interactive and customizable, those things are where tourism should work to meet and where they should work to produce events. And this was my embodiment of that. Van Hagen was the Faust Festival event that kind of had all of those things.
So if people who were not selfie, would they experience the festival in different manners?
I think they definitely will experience it in a different manner, but the good news about the selfie tourist is that they really are interested in variety. I really tried hard not to do anything 2 days in a row or go to the same place 2 days in a row. So there's lots of different events. The thing that was really successful about the Faust Festival is that they were able to collaborate to produce a wide range of events. They had everything from beer tasting that was brewed just for the festival, to this walking opera, to art installations, to literary discussions about Faust and Goethe. So there's a lot of variety. You don't necessarily have to have the same interests I do, but in marketing to me, you market to other people as well. Any other comments? Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
Friends, today I'm going to talk about the Oktoberfest. My main topic is who are the stakeholders and what tourism and economic impact that Oktoberfest has brought to Munich. First, I'm going to start with Oktoberfest. What is Oktoberfest? Oktoberfest is the world's largest folk fest, which is in German word beer festival and traveling fun fair. It was held annually in Munich, Bavaria, Germany, and it's a 16 to 18-day folk festival running from mid or late September to the first weekend in October, with more than 6 million people from around the world attending the event every year. And locally, it's often called Wiesn, after the name for the fairgrounds Theresienwiese. Here is a picture of Theresienwiese. So the logo of Oktoberfest was designed in 1995 by the British designer Alan Fletcher, who created these 2 laughing beer mugs, and it's also as a logo for the commercial marketing of the Oktoberfest. The aim of this seal of approval is to provide a worldwide legal protection for the Oktoberfest as part of Munich's cultural heritage. And this is also a registered trademark that vouches for the quality and the authenticity of the merchandise. So here comes to my first topic. Who are the stakeholders of Oktoberfest? As my research, I found that there are 5 major stakeholders who contribute to the management of Oktoberfest. The host organizations, traders and brewers, maintainer and supplier, security issues, and media. The first is the host organization. There are 2 major organizations that develop to the management of Oktoberfest. The first is the Department of Labor and Economic Development of City Munich, and the second is Theresienwiese Service Center. So as for the Department of Labor and Economic Development, it's in charge of organizing and management of the festival, and it was headed by the Deputy Mayor Joseph Schmid, and he was also the head of this department, and with a team of 8 people that helped him to preparing and implementing the festival. And the next is the Theresienwiese Service Center, which in short as the T. It was located behind the Schottenhamel tent, and this service center is the heart of the major event. It is attached to the Department of Labor and Economic Development, and it's also managed Theresienwiese as an event location. During the whole festival, the festival management and the Oktoberfest office both have their office in the service center. The setup phase of Oktoberfest is usually from the middle or the end of July. And besides the 2 organizations that I mentioned, also a team of 9 staff from the construction office will come to join force with the teams, and they are responsible for measuring lots to set up the municipal stands, toilets, and as well as the performing maintenance work of the event. In order to make sure the smooth running of the event, other municipal service departments are also available and stand ready during the whole weekend. Here is the picture of the Theresienwiese Service Center. So the next stakeholders are the traders and brewers. For someone who wants to be a trader at Oktoberfest, or they want to apply for a stand at Oktoberfest, what they have to do is to follow the registration conditions, which located on this website, the major website of the city Munich. And the official bidding process of Oktoberfest will be made public by the official journal of State Capital of Munich and also the magazine Jurgomet. At the beginning of October, the registration form will be available in the event department of Munich, and the registration is end until the December 31st. Last year, there were totally 1,162 applicants applied for the Oktoberfest, but only 545 of them were admitted. There were vendors, fairground attractions, and caterers, including the 14 large tents. And the six main brewers of Oktoberfest are Augustiner, Hackershore, Hofbräu, Löwenbräu, Planner, and Spaten. Here's the map of the 14 big tents. Of course, the 6 brewers all have their own tents on the Oktoberfest. Here are the 6 tents that belongs to the 6 brewers. But as for the other tents, actually the 6 brewers are also suppliers for the rest of the tents. This tent here is kind of special because it's actually a wine tent. So besides providing beer, it's also providing extensive wine, sparkling wine, and champagne. It is worth to mention that Oktoberfest operates independently of any sponsoring fund, because the event is financed exclusively through some money from the virus fair operation, and the Munich financial budget contains a potential segment of financial hedging of payment balance. Because Oktoberfest doesn't have any specific financial goal, so it is trying to avoid the sponsorship arrangement, and that means to keep the original folk festival characteristic and to avoid the over-commercialization. Next is the maintainers and the suppliers. Before the opening of the Wiesn, all the suppliers will be thoroughly checked by the local building commission of the city of Munich and also the Tube Suit Industry Service GmbH. It is worth to mention that the rating of tested by Tube Suit is considered as the highest technical reliability of fun fairs and amusement parks around the world. The Munich Public Utility Company, SWM, is in charge of supplies of the Oktoberfest, which is power supply, water supply, and natural gas supply. Since 2012, that all suppliers to the Oktoberfest have access to the environmental friendly green electricity, which is M-Opstrom. And over 60% of the tent and sideshow operators, as well as the festival merchants, have accepted this green electricity. And by obtaining the green electricity, the customers are not only contribute to protecting the environment, but also to support the construction of new renewable energy generation facilities. Because Oktoberfest is a huge event, so every day the visitors can create towns and towns waste. So the waste management of Oktoberfest belongs to the Munich Department for Waste Management, and they are using the latest ecological standards for the waste separation and disposal. The security issues is the responsibility of the CRISPR-Walton's reference, which ensures KBR. This agency represents in the SAT through a KBR Wilson office, a lost and found office, and the Wilson Guard of Professional Firefighters. And also the police maintains a Wilson station and a press office. The Bavaria Red Cross maintains the medical facilities, emergency stations, and lost children station. Also, a spokesperson provides media representatives with the information at the Wilson. This year that Oktoberfest has came up with a campaign for a safe Wilson for girls and women. And it provides a security point for female visitors who need special assistance. This is for the prevention of the sexual crime, to help girls and women's emergency or crisis by providing trained staff to assist and support female visitors seeking their help. Here is the security point. It's inside the Springfield Service Center. The media is the München.TV is the most well-known and most popular media coverage of the Oktoberfest festivities. It does a streamlined reports of the festivities every day, and they interview the important personalities like the mayor, the athletes, the visitors, and the other VIPs. For the journalist who wants to do filming or photo permits on the Oktoberfest, they have to apply for a press card like here. The October Press Office will provide the support to the media representatives and serve as a platform for dissemination of news about Wilson for the national and international journalists. And they can apply for the press card at this website. And my next topic is, how does Oktoberfest help with Munich's economic and tourism development? Last year, the economic value of Oktoberfest was €1 billion, and 5.9 million people have spent €349 million during the 16 days of Oktoberfest, which means €62.31 per person on average. And the participants of Oktoberfest are mainly from the state of Bavaria, and the rest of them are from the other federal states of Germany or from abroad. And for people who come outside of Munich, they have spent a further $245 million on meals, shopping, taxi, and public transportation out to elsewhere in Munich. And they have spent, They have spent €434 on accommodation alone, with 30% of them choose to stay with friends or relatives, and 30% of them choose to stay in commercial accommodations. And Oktoberfest directly gave jobs to 30,000 people, with 8,000 of them were employed permanently and 5,000 of them were engaged temporarily. The tourism impact of Oktoberfest, as an iconic event, it has brought a huge tourism revenue to Munich, as well as a strong sense of local pride and international recognition to the city. more than 70% of the visitors have come to Munich simply because of Oktoberfest, and that's a number that indicates the importance of the festival to Munich tourism industry. And this long-term event tourism image and experience in hosting events will lead to additional economic benefits gained from visitors, extending the length of their stay and visiting other regional tourism destinations and attractions. The awareness of Oktoberfest. According to a survey that held on February 1999, the agency base was commissioned by the German National Tourist that said that the survey found that 91% of the respondents were familiar with the term Oktoberfest. And next, in 2008, when asked how did you learn about Oktoberfest, more than 57% of all first-time visitors to the festival answered that you just know Oktoberfest. Everybody does. And now Oktoberfest is a cultural icon toward the world. There are more than 2,000 Munich-style Oktoberfest offshoots are organized around the world. The biggest such as event take place in Blumenau, Brazil, and Kitchener, Canada. Each of them attracts around 1 million visitors, and China also have our own beer festival that's held in Beijing, Dalian, and Qingdao, and it's also drawn millions of people. So in conclusion, as a major event brand in Munich, Oktoberfest has become increasingly influential in the beer industry and tourism at home and abroad. The cooperation between the organizations and tourism enterprises of the Oktoberfest bring a considerable number of tourists to the event and also create more market opportunities for local enterprises, which fully proves that the successful management of cultural festival plays a very important role in the development of tourism. And that's the end of my presentation. Any questions?
In terms of revenue, if you have two figures, can you go back to the slide? I'm just curious.
Which
you have this one didn't you roll and this part and it's something you know. So what?
It's the economic value of the Oktoberfest, which means like the commercial value, like this is just what people have spent on the festival itself, but this is the other, like I said here, like the accommodations, like the meals, like shopping, like taxis, like the other economic values that Oktoberfest has created to Munich.
So this is just for Munich alone?
Yes, for Munich. Oh, yes.
Cultural product development. So first off, you have you present us the Northwest. So I'll come to
Good evening, dear classmates and faculty. So I'm presenting dirndl. What is dirndl? It's traditional Bavarian costume, and here, if you want to look for something authentic, here's a lookbook, and let's get to the point. So objective is to understand the element, discover and find out what is the role and cultural value of dirndl toward the cultural development. And significance of study is because it's one of the popular dress that you have to have when you go to Oktoberfest, and It represents classic, feminine, attractive. So my research question is, what is dirndl? And why dirndl is a significant role in cultural representative identity, and third is how dirndl as cultural product add value to business. Hypothesis is, first, dirndl is traditional variant only wear in Oktoberfest annually, and second, dirndl represents the identity of Alpine culture. Third, dirndl dress are adding the value business by the charismatic of their dress and storytelling from the festival. And literature review is, I searched in world culture encyclopedia and some of the Bavarian folk days fashion house, which is Lena Hoschek, Lola Partinger, Modworth, Austrian Kozu, Kruger, Sport and Kingsbuhen. Scope and limitation is, I'm going to focus on dirndl, which is history, elements of costume, the wearing occasion, and the bow tie. The limitation is, actually, the dirndl is just only a subtopic under the name of trash. Trash is the big one here, which is the conservative version of dirndl, and the difference is dirndl doesn't have the hat, and lederhosen is for a guy. So concept is dirndl as a trademark of Oktoberfest dress that you are recommended to wear, otherwise it's not proper to attend the festival. And the definition of dirndl is actually mean little girl, or now we can refer to the feminine dress that's worn in Austria, Bavarian, or South German, north of Italy, or Alps, Switzerland. The history of dirndl began in early 18th century. In Austria, emerged as servant or maid dress. Later on, 1870, the Austrian upper class are giving them as a high fashion dress and become popular. 1819, they start spreading in Switzerland, and early 20th century, they spread in south of Germany, Austria, Italy. So next is the element of costume. Actually, basically, it's a three-piece of dress. First is the blouse. Second is a pinafore, like the jumpsuit but in the skirt version. And third is apron. Then it could become a dirndl. But here there is a proper name called bodice. Bodice is an outer garment. Let's go here. Bodice is an outer garment. It's like this, the upper part. The upper part is called bodice, and the blouse is inside. Pinafore is here. The bow, apron, and the length of blouse, which is like 50 to 60, is called mini dirndl, and 60 to 70 is called medium dirndl, and the length household is 80 to 90 centimeters. And they are also wearing with a Lebkuchen, which is a heart-shaped gingerbread cookie. And the question for customer first is land house mode style or country-inspired fashion. Second is modern traditional. They're wearing in full face like this. So this is called mini to medium style. And the last is wedding. Now is the fun part. The Oktoberfest has an urban legendary, like we all know that this is a matchmaking festival, so bow tie is sending the message from the girl to the guy. For the left side, it means single. Right side means taken or married. Middle, virgin or undecided. If at the back, it means you are without or serving mate. Okay, I'm using theoretical framework called culturally sustainable entrepreneurship, which is they have two factors. First is tourism initiative. Here is October Festival that attract the tourists coming in, and sustaining culture is the dress itself. So this model is the explanation of like the relation between like the festival and the dress, making it more like the culture can be survived because of the people still wearing the dress and go to the festival, and it's a must to have. Now I'm using type of research called case study. So I have 3 cases here. First is key cases, which is represent classical and functional case. Second is outlier case or popular or outstanding case. Third is local knowledge case, showing the local wisdom, traditional ceremony. First is the key classical case. The example from film industry. The first introduced Durando is in the sound music, where the character called Maria Julia Andrew, she's wearing and doing the musical. And next is Charlie Angel, they're also wearing Durando. And next is a functional case now that you can see in generally in Bavarian country, like service industry, the for waitress in beer house, they usually wear the classic style or like house mode style, which is look more polite and look more professional. And next is the signature case. The company Mattel USA created the signature German Barbie doll in the World collection. And actually this is called trash. Like the difference is they have the shoulder shawl and the long sleeve, and also wearing the hat. But Durando is just like a blouse, bodice and pinafore. Another outlier case is fashion, the BMW fashion show chassis meet in 2015, which is to represent BMW's 2 Series Grand Tourer which is this car is for a big family. So in the theme of chassis is a German term meaning sweetheart. So Durando is telling the whole story about sweetheart and represent well about the car, the functional the car, like that's for family. Another popular case is Oktoberfest, which is they have doing some statistics, like which is the most popular, how to wear them and look in the guy's eye. And here's the local knowledge case, which is called Costume and Rifleman Parade. This parade is the opening ceremony for Oktoberfest. And another local case is called Bill Lily doll, which is the grandmother of the Barbie and the first inspiration for the co-founder of Mattel, using this doll, and then finally it became the Barbie later. And the summary is, so the summary of what is Durando is the name of traditional feminine dress wearing Austrian and Bavarian like Munich, mostly seen in Volkfest, Oktoberfest, and wedding ceremony. Second is, Durando is not only present the identity of Alpine culture as a hardworking lady clothes back then, but also the eye-catching traditional dress that were for matchmaking purpose in Oktoberfest. And third is donor costume adding the value of business to not just only the charismatic or the dress, and also have the storytelling about the bow tie. And yeah, that makes the culture living. Thank you.
We will save the Q&A to the end of the group presentation.
Although we didn't get to go to Oktoberfest itself, we did experience some elements that were taken from the famous Oktoberfest Spirit Festival, and we saw some music at Opera House, so that was something that is still very clear in my mind, actually. So let's start. Okay, so some objectives. Today I would want to understand the value-added approach of the cultural product and the relative strength, and to examine developmental strategies for cultural product development, and also to study the product narrative, authenticity, and place identity. Okay, so here we go. Folk songs from Bavaria. So this is what you usually see, Lederhosens and Alpines. The two images here are basically what you probably see in your mind or perception of Bavaria, or the songs that will play in your mind, like continuing of the Sound of Music, maybe. So basically, the dresses and the dances are actually a part of the Bavarian region as a whole. So it's not really Munich, but this is what we perceive as the Bavarian culture nonetheless. So in some literature reviews, they have identified this perception as images of Bavaria. So where do these images come from? The self-conception and perception from the outside, and how has it been internalized by the locals? And so in this article, a scholar has said that no region in Germany is loaded with myths, prejudices, and cliches, and no region has become a brand like the Upper Bavaria. So this is the interesting factor where all these symbols become icons. So all our products are actually icons of Bavaria. So music is definitely one of them, as you can see, the accordion and the instruments, the trump, the tuba. So music as a symbol, so all those symbols as a symbol of an identity. So basically where this has come from, it has been developed for almost 170 years. It has become a top-down initiative, but now as this festival has become known locally and globally, it's become something else. It's become bigger than this festival and this music. So folk music, which is basically what Oktoberfest is a folk music festival. It's a tool in music education and means of enhancing feelings of national identity. And it also is a cultural capital to drive the tourism industry. So as you can see, this is the first sort of introduction of Oktoberfest. So every year they would have a parade with music. We'd have definitely some emphasis on the instruments, and also and the beer tents. So this is a October Festival program. basically at the grand entrance and then the Oktoberfest costume parade and at the open air October Music Fest. The music is a very essential element of the festival. So brass bands have been very famous since the military rule. So Germany was very dominant in that area. So the military brass bands were actually the first contact to the public of music. So this brass band, this marching band, was kind of the history of what we see now as a summarized version in Oktoberfest. You also have women-only orchestra bands, and then you have family bands. So they have military-based, they have family units which became companies, musical companies themselves, and then also just groups of musicians who have been keeping this cultural heritage, you can say, alive through their performances at Oktoberfest. So what kind of Bavarian music do you see? So you have folk music, obviously, you have Volksmusik. They say that folk music and Volksmusik is kind of different because folk is more traditional and Volksmusik has been interpreted and combined with jazz, with rock, so you've got a couple of elements of music. Another interesting element I thought to bring up was that the folk or the simple people of the country tend to become the stereotypical essence of that nation's identity. So this is an interesting factor when you're talking about folk music. And also you can't miss drinking songs, which is definitely essential and definitely something that I will be coming back to as well to kind of elaborate on. So one of the top 10 songs, if you Google it, you'll find Ein Prosit, which is a toast. So again, coming back to Bavarian music as cultural capital, we see now, I've just looked at some samples of traditional German Oper bands, and these are more updated versions of them. So now the youth has become more involved in trying to form their own bands and their own musical group. And to say that these groups, they kind of maintain this musical presentation even outside Oktoberfest. Okay, so as studying a cultural product, I looked at something that Dominic Power had done, which was a version of the diamond module of clusters. So this was something that he had done specifically for looking at competitive advantages for cultural product industries. So he had more detail for use of cultural products in cultural industries. So this is what I tried to analyze for the Bavarian music, or folk music in festivals. So we can see that the local demands are quite strong because most of the tourists to the festival itself are German or surrounding neighboring countries. We also have the supporting actors who are brewery enterprises, and in Oktoberfest you cannot just apply to play. You have to go directly to the breweries to be able to perform in the tents. So this is kind of a limitation or a rule in this industry. So you have to have contact with the brewery itself and not the festival organizer. And you have factor conditions, which you already have a positive local image because it's happy and merry. And then you also have other elements that support this, meaning that you have Hofbrauhaus, which is one of the main tents, and they hold jam sessions on Mondays to have these new folk bands playing. And also, of course, the city of Munich, which supports this greatly. Okay, I also looked at product and marketing strategies at the folk music itself, because like we mentioned that folk music doesn't necessarily belong to just Bavaria or Munich. So how do they differentiate from the different other folk music in their surrounding regions? So just one thing that really I think is essential is if you talk about diversification, Oktoberfest, I think Salzburg also has a festival, but Oktoberfest is one that has been able to go to other countries, and still maintain the same sort of folk music or bands that play. So they, I think this has been something that we can look upon, trying to adapt it to the global market. When you talk about folk music, I want to also talk about the song. Like was mentioned before, Ein Kurzzeit is not originally Bavarian or from Munich, but is essential because I think it really illustrates the spirit of the Munich festival and also Oktoberfest. If you can see this word, the Gemeinschaft, so basically it's a drinking song and it only has 4 or 3 sentences. A toast, a close, a cheer to good times. So basically this is what the song says, but like other German, like Thai words, German words, this one you can't really translate directly, but it means like coziness. So basically this is, I feel like this is the essence of the song because this is their kind of anthem. And Gemeinschaft basically means a feeling of warmth, and then that imbues in beer gardens that translates into different arenas where this tradition has been performed. Also, looking at that, Gemeinschaft has also synonyms in different countries. So Danish is pig, Japanese matari, and in Thai is probably sabai. So basically that essence of the song or that feeling of warmth that you feel when you're at the Oktoberfest is something that could be global. So 1 second of quick reflection. Basically, this can be another study of self-conception and perception of the icon, and also authenticity of the folk music itself. It has been adapted, and also it can touch on intangible culture as well, for music and song. Okay, cheers. Thank you.
Okay, so my topic today is cultural products marketing development to create value, the case of Munich beer. And my name is Mimi. So when people talk about Oktoberfest, they will think of beer. So see difference in the drinking beer in the Oktoberfest. Okay, so I'm going to cover Munich beer and its history and cultural products, and so growth metrics. And I conducted a primary survey and analysis and conclusion. So first of all, briefly talk about the history of beer. Okay, so as you see here, the year 1800 AD. Is the first. So the first year they put it as the first brewery, and then 13th century, which is most of the beer fair is about religious affair, and then year 1516 is the most important year for the beer because they issued the law. It calls the German purity law. Okay, and then until now they have 6 big brands of Munich beer. So this is the 6 different brands of the beers. Okay, as Sherry talking about it before. Okay, so what makes the Munich beer so unique? Because of the beer. Because of the purity law, the beer in Munich, especially in the Munich Oktoberfest, they can only make by these four things: the water, yeast, and wheat and hops. So this is the only 4 things including in the beer. Okay, so here when beer, so because here I'm talking beer as a cultural product. So cultural products, it can be tangible or intangible. So here beer is the tangible product, just like the chopstick or the painting. So beer, you can see it. But when we compare it to some other big brand, the local brand of Munich is not that popular in the world. Actually, it's not that famous. Okay, and so here, different, like when the people think about different brands, they have different perceptions. So we also do like see the perception of different people. So here is the cultural practice. The cultural practice also involved in the cultural products. Okay, so here is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to conduct a survey of the Chinese market because I'm going to see how what is the strategy to sell more beers, like the Munich beer into Chinese market. I try to use the Anthos growth matrix to exploring like more strategy. Okay. So the methodology here is I do the sampling. I do 100 sample and 50 male and 50 females. So here is like their age, so it's the background of them and the education background of them, and then here is their experience. Like, have they ever traveled to Munich? Only 70% of the people who do the survey been to Munich before. And then here is like, do they drink the Munich beer before? There's 60% of people never experienced drinking the Munich beer in China. And here is the rank for dislike to like. And then here is when you think of the beer, like most of people, what they think about. Okay. So most of them, they will think about the Oktoberfest. They will link the beer to the Oktoberfest. And then here is the which brand is the most popular brand in China, like which taste is the most popular in China. Okay, and then here is like, because in the Oktoberfest they said they need to, according to the law, which means they cannot sell the fruity flavor, but actually like there's 59% of Chinese people, they like the fruity beer better than the traditional beer. And then here is the motivation, like are you going to travel to Munich for the Munich beer? And then like some of them still agree, like strongly agree too. Okay, so here is the analyze part. So I compared with the male and female. And then they like it or they don't like the beer. So males seems like more positive with the beer. Okay. And then here is like male and female, when they think of the beer, they think of Oktoberfest. Okay. So when they compare to male and female tend to more like the Munich, the fruity beer. Okay. So here is like here is the conclusion, like how Munich beer can increase their import sales in China. First is appeal to the young adult consumer, according to the survey, and then present the brand as premium and hip, and create 8 different flavors to meet with their demand. And then use Oktoberfest as the key to open the door. And then the last one is make it more accessible, because it's not that easy to buy the Munich beer in China, especially the small cities. Okay, so cheers.
Okay, then last one.
You made it?
Yes, I made it myself.
I know.
It was a little bit already because it's from the morning. Yes, it's all from this festival. Yes, it's actually following the traditional Bavarian recipe. So you can pass it around and have some. Yes. It's supposed to be salty. Yeah. So she tried it. Okay, so good evening, faculty members and my fellow friends. As you know, my product that I will be presenting is German pretzels, Northern Brazil. And my main aim is to actually make it as a tourist window to German culture. So, what is pretzels? Pretzels is basically a popular snack that is popular in US and also throughout Europe. And it comes in all shapes and sizes. But the most common shape and sizes is the one that you just tried. That's the pretzel knot. And for Asian, I think the one that you can relate most easily is the brand Auntie Anne's pretzels, which you can find in nearly all shopping malls. However, the taste is very different because next is, what I'm going to tell you is, we are looking into Bavarian pretzels. Bavarian pretzels is very different from what you know about Auntie Anne's pretzels. Auntie Anne's pretzels is all sweet and delicious and like a dessert. But Bavarian pretzels is not sweet, it's a salted pretzel. So it's meant to be really salty. If you went to a beer garden or beer house in Munich, it's a really big piece of bakery, a baked good, and it's really salty. And the difference between like a normal pretzel and a Bavarian pretzel is in the color, which is usually dark brown in color. This is because of the lye, they use lye in the baking process. And it's a popular snack in Germany, and you can find it basically in all the bakeries, and also most commonly in beer gardens and also beer houses through the sales of broad frown or beer grape girl will be selling the pretzel. So, this is the pretzel. As everyone can see, this is the pretzel knot, the most common shape. And for my research, I looked into 3 questions. How did pretzel evolve into a cultural product of Germany? Second is, how does tourists perceive pretzels as an identity of Germany? And third, do the origins of tourists affect their perception towards pretzels, and how does it affect? The 3 research questions that I present is, the research objectives that I present is to study the evolution of pretzels into a cultural product, to study the perceptions of tourists of pretzels, and how the origin of tourists can affect their perceptions. And to achieve my research objective, I use secondary resource research method to mainly know the evolution of pretzels, and qualitative study of it by using in-depth interviews with to collect data in relation to tourist perception of the pretzel. So, this is a timeline, a simple timeline that I came up with so that you can also understand pretzels in a very brief time. It begins in the Middle Age. The real origin is not known because nobody really knows it. However, the earliest record is in manuscripts and also in prayer books. And one of the most famous records of pretzels is in the Hortus Delicarium, which is a manuscript compiled by a nun by the name of Herod of Landsberg. And initially the word pretzel, it comes from the Latin word pretiolas and also bacchalia. It means, pretiolas means little reward, and bacchalia means little alms. And for the German word Brazen, it's the closest to the word little alms. So this is from the Hortus Delicarium, and you can see the pretzel over here. So moving on to the next part, which is the 16th century. This is a period where there are more records of pretzels, and we can see that pretzels evolved into something that's important due to its significance in a religious context. It makes its way into many religious activities and also festivals. Basically, it is involved in Easter, Christmas, and New Year. And during this time, there are records that say that children wear pretzels around their neck during the New Year as a sign of good luck. This is similar to what you have seen in the pictures of the Dirndl, where they hung cookies, but in the past it was pretzels. And moving on, we look at the 18th century. So let's look at the 18th century first. Pretzels actually split into two directions. One is still continuing in the area of the Bavarian region, where you have the birth of Oktoberfest and the inclusion of pretzels in the Oktoberfest. On the other hand, pretzels also start migrating out of the German region and also out of Europe into the United States, especially into Pennsylvania and also Philadelphia. And today, we will see pretzels in almost everywhere in Munich. You can see like Lita's up there with a big pretzel and happily trying it out. And if you in Munich, you go to the Maypole and the Victoria Markt, you actually see the pretzels over here. And even in Munich's slogan, Simply Munich, the very first logo is actually a pretzel. So this is how pretzels became a cultural identity of Germany and of course of Munich. So let's look next. I mentioned my next question is about the perception of tourists. After conducting an in-depth interview with 10 informants, and I found out a very interesting fact is that we can look at how people perceive things from the region as well. I mainly categorize it into two regions because of the demographic of my informants. And we could see that Westerners mainly are people from the Western countries like Europe and also America, as well as Asians, mainly mainland China, all the way down to Southeast Asia. If we look into the Western countries, they can easily associate pretzels because it's part of their culture as well. And for them to easily go and explore and understand pretzels, it's something for them to just experience it. And they don't compare a lot the taste of pretzels to something that they know of or don't know of. But if we look into the Asian context, because of not being able, as it's not a staple food here in Asia, we know that Asians love rice. So usually tourists from Asia tend to compare Bavarian pretzels with Auntie Anne pretzels, or any type of like sweet pretzels. So moving on next, I used Maslow's hierarchy of needs to actually look at how tourists can what motivates tourists to actually enjoy pretzels. And looking at the data, most Westerners tend to be on the top, which is the self-actualization, and it's mostly they want to try pretzels in the sense of self-fulfillment and wanting to be able to experience the real German culture. But in the sense of most Asians, it will fall mostly on the social needs category. It's because most of them try pretzels out of the prompt of a friend or an introduction, but not really an initiative to wanting to try it. And there is no tourist that actually falls in these two categories at the moment. So it's mostly from social needs and above. So, to conclude, pretzels have a long history, and the origin is not clear. However, if we look into the perceptions of pretzels, the different regions, mainly the Western region and Asian, have a very distinct difference in terms of their perception. Because for the Western, they can relate it easily, but for the Asian region, most of us cannot relate to pretzels easily. Hence, it causes Asians to have a slightly less, it does not add a lot of value to Asians to identify it as a cultural product. And when we look into Maslow's hierarchy of need, we can see that the motivation of tourists to go and get a pretzel do differ a lot, and it actually helps us to know how to target Asians if we want to improve the tourism sector. So just quickly, some of the recommendations is that to conduct a quantitative study on this, so that we can actually really know the difference in terms of how we can really improve in terms of getting to know from the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and also expand the geographical area, because this is only Munich and it cannot be a representation of the whole Germany. So that's all from me. Thank you. This is my references. So our group is now ready to answer your questions if you have any questions.
In your study, have you found any attempt to contemporize the music of the Oktoberfest?
Contemporarize music of Oktoberfest. Yes. So basically, that song that was the anthem, "I'm Procyte," it's actually, like I mentioned, it's not from Bavaria or Munich. It's actually from Saxony, which is another German state, and that has already been kind of modernized by another composer in 1957, I think. So it's been kind of modernized in a sense. It's become a drinking song more. And now there's other, like I said, other musicians who are performing at the tents, because the only rule is that you can't just come and ask to perform. You have to go to the brewery. But if you can perform, you can perform any type of song. It doesn't have to be traditional. It can be like a conversion of the two traditionals. And Volk's music is actually interpretations of folk music with like modern pop sounds. So they already have that conversion. And on iTunes actually as well, they already have like albums with contemporary Oktoberfest songs. So it's commercialized as well.
So for me, I don't know what to say, because I expected to hear more about the side of management, because I would say most executive, all of these most of into the cultural study. But for you, you come up with some information, but I'd like to hear more the analysis, because you just report, right? You try to find it, but the analysis is more important.
Actually, I do have the analysis.
Actually, you can do that. Because like in the program we talk about the management, so I'd like to hear how the music will be managed to the festival, how the pretzel will be managed to the festival, that kind of thing. Alright, thank you.
This is the only complete written paper, right? From you, right?
I also
that's complete.
yes.